Good afternoon, everybody. We're here for a legal and finance meeting, August 27th, 2025. We're going to start this off with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Lehman.
Here.
Meyer. Here. Pettigrew.
Here.
Chris. Here. Kang. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next up is the adoption of the agenda. Motion by Sechrist, second by Meyer. All in favor? Any opposed? Agenda is adopted. Next up is general public comment. I do have a number of speaker request forms, but none of them are for the general public comment period. So we're going to go ahead and open and close that and move on to consent items 1 through 6. Would my colleagues like to pull Dr. Tamang?
I would like to pull 4 and 5, please.
Items 4 and 5. Councilwoman Sechrist?
That covers mine. Thank you.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, and 6.
So moved.
Motion by Pettigrew,
Second.
second by Tamang. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 4, approve memorandum of understanding with Elevate regarding the Opportunity Capture Fund. And Dr. Tamang, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I've looked at this and tried to understand it in detail going back to, and I'm by no means opposed to this at all. I'm just kind of seeking additional information. It appears to me, and I guess I'll direct this to you, Daniel, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
It appears to me this is sort of, is it refilling what we just sort of did with the climbing wall sort of thing? And then can you kind of give me a sense of sort of the established ROI and like the benefit of this? Again, I want to be very clear. I'm not opposed to it, and I appreciate everything Elevate does, and I think it's generally a good idea. I just think some due diligence for a $300,000 no interest, full risk to the city should probably be looked at a little more.
Sure. Absolutely. This essentially just effectuates the approval that the council gave of the Opportunity Capture Fund's recommendation at I think it was a previous meeting or it was 2 meetings ago. But essentially this lays out the framework for how the city would enter into an agreement with Elevate that the city would provide $300,000, and it is at 0% interest, and would anticipate receiving those funds back at the end of 5 years, with the caveat that if for some reason Elevate does not receive the full $300,000, the city would not be reimbursed from Elevate the full amount of the $300,000. So essentially what would be occurring is that Elevate would be providing that money for cash flow reasons to the developer of the city block or the climbing wall that's proposed, the north side of town. The ROI, I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact percentages. That was a while ago that I prepared that, but if you look at the property tax as well as the sales tax that would come from that, it exceeded 10%. I think it was something like 15 or 16%, but I'll send that to you.
So this is actually for that project?
Yes,
Okay.
It's for that project.
And then future projects out of this fund, are we approving those kind of, so there's not a $300,000 going into a fund that then the committee controls down the road. This is for that project?
Yes, this is
That's
for
great.
that project. In 5 years, when the money comes back, it will be deposited again back into the Opportunity Capture Fund.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilwoman Sechrist?
Thank you, Chair. And similar in my question I was curious with the 5-year term of the loan, and then throughout the agreement and mentioning that if the money wasn't repaid to Elevate's not held harmless for this to owe the city back or to return the funds back to the city to refill the Opportunity Capture Fund for future use. I was just curious if that's standard process and procedure, or is this an exception for this particular use? If I may direct that question to Daniel, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the question. Each of these individual projects have their own unique repayment obligations. The majority of them are actually grants that are provided. And so most of the time, the money does not actually ever come back to the Opportunity Capture Fund. The committee on this one did not recommend a grant, but instead requested or recommended providing the funds for the cash flow reasons as well, so that the entity could have the sufficient equity to obtain the SBA loan guarantee that they already had. And so this is fairly unique. I think the last probably 4 or 5 that came out of here were grants. But each individual project that is recommended by the committee has their own recommendations.
And that may be due to the dollar valuation, just that this one seems higher than past awarded funds.
Yes, I think in general, the reason why it was not supported as a grant was because of the number of jobs that were created and also the income level for the jobs. That this is really more of a quality of life structure. It's not really it's not generating dozens and dozens of 6-figure jobs or anything like that. And so I think the committee said they didn't feel comfortable providing a grant, but this would be make sense so that the project could proceed.
And do we know what the likelihood is that this is going to be successfully returned, or is that just there's some unknowns there? I felt like it was a little wishy-washy in that, well, if it's not repaid, then the city's or elevates to be held harmless. And anyway, not that I'm not in support of this project. I just think the agreement itself was a little confusing
Sure.
to me in that way.
Sure. The projections from it, which were prepared by a firm that specializes in climbing walls, shows actually that it's cash flow positive and profitable, I believe, within 10 months or 12 months. And so there's fairly strong indications, but like any new business, there's definitely no guarantee that it's coming back. And so that was what I was trying to include in the MOU, is that there's absolutely no guarantee that the opportunity capture funds would come back, but that as the committee described was the point of the opportunity capture fund, is to provide gap financing when there's not necessarily guarantees.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Councilman Pettigrew.
I just have a problem with this. We're giving them $300,000 and no interest, really. The reason they're coming to us, they're short funds. This is a gap funding measure. Apparently, banks aren't going to give them any more money. When I built my business, if I couldn't make it work, I had to go out and get capital myself. And just to give them this loan with no interest, to me, it does not make good business sense. I can't support this in any way, shape, or form. I just think we should probably have better control or restrictions before we start giving money away and hoping we're going to get it back. To me, that's just not a good business decision. Thank you.
Councilwoman Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that the government is not a business, and so brace yourselves, everyone. I'm very fired up today. I am very in support of this. I think something we've heard through the discourse of the current climate, the things we're going through, are people making the incorrect conclusion that we do not have opportunities to support small businesses, and because nobody wants to fact check anything, apparently that's true. So I will be supporting this because I think the city does have tools to support small businesses. We are not a business ourselves. I think this is a great project, and I will be in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. There is currently no motion on the floor for the item. Motion to approve by Sechrist, second by Meyer. Seeing no more discussion, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. And Rod Pettigrew is the no. Item 5, a resolution in support of the application to the South Dakota Department of Transportation for the Legacy Trail Project through the Transportation Alternatives Program grant. And Dr. Tamang, I believe you pulled this item, so I'm going to call on you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, I want to point out that I think the grants department and Ms. Tonis Jamie did a great job. It looks like a pretty good deal. It looks like, and I'm going to again direct a question to Daniel, if I might. It appears that it's about an $800,000 grant, and the city is matching about $180,000. And I guess the question I had is just more in general. So, where did the $180,000 come from, and was it budgeted? And is there I tried to figure out if there's a process. I couldn't get there. Like, is this money that, do we just have a certain leniency in the general fund? And forgive me, this is my ignorance. I just don't understand. I mean, it looks like we're getting a really good return on investment given the amount. I just want to understand that. And then maybe some other thoughts behind this that wouldn't necessarily be for you, perhaps Ms. Fisher. Were there constituent complaints, or were there issues with what we currently have that is driving us to give this amount? So those were my thoughts. I appreciate both of your comments.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I those are very, very good and reasonable questions. Currently, the project is not budgeted. This was a project that went before the Vision Fund, I believe, and typical of a lot of projects that went through the Vision Fund. The council, as well as the staff and everyone, kind of said at that time, for the projects that did not receive funding, we were trying to find other ways to get those projects to occur. Because unfortunately, I think there was about $70-some million worth of a request to the Vision Fund, and I think there was $12 million available. So on this one, Jamie was able to find a grant that we're applying for, so it's not a guarantee, but we're applying for that. It does require a, I think, 20% match. With that, we would be using some of our additional funds in our CIP that's currently unallocated. So essentially, we had some additional interest income in our CIP account that has not been allocated yet to a project. Honestly, $180,000 is a pretty small project in our CIP. Most projects are in the millions of dollars, unfortunately. So we do have sufficient funds for a project like this, especially if we're getting $4 back for every $1 invested. And it was a Vision Fund request, but we can't do this for every project. But what we have provided direction to our grants division is, when there's a grant opportunity available where we can have a sizable rate of return, let's try for it.
Anything further, Councilman Tamang?
No, thank you. I think if Vicki had anything on this particular project or not, and if you don't, that's okay.
But
Ms.
I
Fisher,
do.
please.
You guys probably saw Kip Harrington come running in. My staff is just such my support team. They listen in their offices. And Black Hills Works had first spearheaded this project. And they came before the Vision Fund Committee asking to have this legacy trail funded through that source. They didn't secure what they needed. And so I think it was great that Daniel's team partnered with them in order to secure some of this funding that we're seeing come forward. This certainly aligns with the city's bike ped plan. This is providing a connection between two major parks in our community and is meeting the needs of that neighborhood to a high degree. And so Kip Harrington and his staff in transportation have been fully behind this project from the get-go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Councilwoman Seacrest?
Thank you, Chair. This mic has a delay, so I've been following along on this project and just wanted to shout out to our staff and to our planning department. The excellent work in this being a public-private partnership, in that we're working alongside Black Hills Works to create this bike path connection, which is an ultimate benefit to this entire neighborhood and community, and providing an alternate route for our kids to get to school over to the Pinedale and West Middle School access areas. So I'm just looking at this in the aerial shots. It makes a lot of sense. I'm in full support of this. I just wanted to say thank you to our grants division for filling in. I follow this along with the Vision Fund process, and it is a very worthwhile project, and I sure hope that we can get the momentum to get this off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Seacrest. I have no motion on the floor. Motion approved by Seacrest, second by Meyer. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Next up is non-consent items 7 through 16, and we are going to open public comment for these items, and we have a handful of them here. We're going to start off with Tonchi Weaver.
I think it's on. Good morning, or good afternoon. I'm going to try and lump in item 10, well, they're written down for you. The Liberty Land, the catalyst, and the amendment to number 86. It is instructive to attend meetings such as the Planning and Zoning meeting. It was during that particular meeting that we learned that this amendment on number 86 is likely going to be a data center location. Now, there was not a lot of publicity about that, and I want to bring something to the council's attention. I know you're just a review board, so to speak, but the full council needs to realize that if I want to build a garage, I have to notify all my neighbors and send them a certified letter. And now we find out that a data center can just be amended on an already approved TIF. That's not right. There's quality of life issues, and if that is the case, then the community deserves to have full notification and input on that. Now, getting to the Liberty Land, that's another example of why this should be put to a public vote. If it passes on Tuesday, I believe, and I think I'm not alone on this, you've heard from a lot of people already that this kind of an impact of a project to the people in the area, to the affected people, just like if I have to send a certified letter to my neighbors and say this is going to affect your view or whatever, your drainage, and I need your approval, we should be asking the people who are affected if they want these huge projects. And that's not the only concern, of course. It's the spending, it's the long-term commitment. And I will then bring up Catalyst. The current form that it's in is, it's like a snake all through 3 different city wards. It's got every pet project that was not able to secure funding elsewhere stuck in it. And in government, we call those sweeteners. You know, if you want somebody to eat a dog turd, you have to roll it in a lot of sugar. So that's what those things are. We're not talking about what this is actually going to do. It is much broader than just a sports complex. So again, public input is very important, and I will remind you that yes, the city council is not a business, but it's not a charity either. So let's be sure that as we make decisions that affect everybody in this city, that we do so with full transparency and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weaver. Next up is Scott Carius.
It's like it's already started on there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make some general comments, and specifically about the Catalyst and the Liberty Land, as my comments are directed towards. And I want to say that I was out at the Uptown Mall last week twice for some business, and I had a chance to kind of walk around and take a look at things. And I noticed a few things. One is that it's clean, it's well stocked, and it's pretty much empty. And it's really quiet. What I also noticed were some businesses there that I remember my daughter used to go to. It's a closing for business sale. Kind of made me feel bad. And it got me thinking about these 2 TIFs in particular, and generally about public service and my own experience in that. And I remember a quote that Bill Janklow told me one time. He said, excuse me, Icarius, he said, in public service, you need to look out for the people in the bleachers, because the people in the box seats will always be fine. And so the weird thing about public service is that you go from virtually a nobody overnight when you get elected. All of a sudden, you've got a title, and you start getting mail that says the honorable this and the honorable that, and you didn't do anything. You didn't get any smarter. You didn't get any better looking, but all of a sudden, you're invited to all the ribbon cuttings, and you're invited overnight to all these boardrooms that are lavish, and they want something from you. And you've got 2 things that very few people ever get. One, you have the public trust. and you have it temporarily. And the second thing you get is access to other people's money and the ability to redirect it, and that's where the people in the box seats come in. And there's always going to be somebody that's going to want something from you because you have access to that. And of course, it's always for a noble cause. It's always for economic development or infrastructure or something like that. And if anybody ever questions you, there's a whole army of people that will stand up and berate them and say they're anti-growth, they're anti-economic development, and frankly, it's not a fair fight. So when I went to the mall the other day and I noticed all these shops that were basically empty, and I thought of the people that were there, and I thought of the lady at the nail salon, and I thought of the lady at the bookstore. They didn't have any ribbon cuttings that you went to, and they didn't ask you for any handouts. And you're probably not going to go to their closing for business sale. But what you have that they need is a voice. You're their voice, because the people in the box seats are always going to be fine. And I hope you never forget that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next up, we have Joel Brannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and council members. My name's Joel Brannon, and I'm the Liberty Land Project Manager. We're here today because the TIF district and plan for the destination district that we submitted a number of months ago has not changed. And I just want to make sure that it's on the record. It's exactly the same as the district plan was when it was approved by Planning, Legal, and Finance and adopted by the City Council on July 7th, 2025. We're only here today for one reason, and that's because there was a city error in publishing the notice. So, but I want to take the rest of my time and try to dispel some of the misunderstandings, miscommunications that I continue to see on posts that are shared with me on a routine basis. The vast majority of the spending and risk is clearly on the shoulders of the developer. The city will take advantage of approximately $10 million to make street and infrastructure improvements in the area, and the city will be paid back with the funds its users make in the improvements using the monies generated from the TIF. The remaining approximately $115 million in improvements and costs will be the responsibility of the developer. And the developer is the one that bears the risk. If the conservative estimates regarding the property tax revenue are not sufficient to pay the TIF balance, then the developer, not the city, is responsible for the repayment. The city is not guaranteeing anything. Further, misunderstanding or miscommunication is about the property taxes. The current property tax being paid by the landowner in this destination district is approximately $5,000 a year. The land is mostly grassland, currently used for cattle and grazing. So, of that $5,000, those dollars go to the school, the city, and the county. If this project is successful, the tax increment revenues from this will be 1,800 times what it is today. And as soon as the TIF is repaid, we have it conservatively laid out for 20 years, but it's going to be paid, it should be paid well beyond that. The school district will receive $5 million annually in property taxes. The city, or the county, will get $2 million, and the city will get $1.5 million.
Thank you, Joel. Times. Next up is Jennifer Verhey.
I'd just like to speak in regard to the TIFs. You know, I urge you to have the public vote on this. Right now, you're asking us residents to shoulder millions of dollars in costs to benefit private corporations. As a taxpayer and a small business owner, I don't believe we should be subsidizing large corporate competition. I also want to note that holding the public meeting rally time when most of us in the hospitality industry are at our busiest really makes it hard to gauge true community support. If these projects are truly viable, they will stand on their own without taxpayer funding. If they're not viable, then the risk falls unfairly to us, the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Ali Formanek.
Good afternoon, committee members. On behalf of Visit Rapid City, I wanted to voice our strong support for the Catalyst District and the project plan, including the proposed indoor sports complex. The project is a game changer for our community, as you all know. In addition to the tax increment, the complex will be funded by the creation of the second bid district, which means the hospitality industry is going to shoulder that cost, not our local taxpayers. That structure allows us to build a first-class facility without burdening our residents. The benefits are clear. The complex will attract tournaments and events during low occupancy periods of our tourism season, which drives hotel stays, restaurant visits, and retail activity. That means more sales tax revenue at the times our businesses really need it the most. It also enhances our tourism economy by positioning Rapid City as a top sports destination in the off-season. And just as important, the facility will serve our residents, providing recreation, training, and community space year-round. And with the proposed destination district and Liberty Land nearby, visitors will have even more reasons to extend their stay in Rapid City and spend their money locally. One of Visit Rapid City's missions is to have a year-round tourism economy for Rapid City, and the development of this new sports complex is a key step towards that goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Stacy Huther.
Good afternoon. I stand here before you today not only as a president of Rushmore Swim Team, but also as a mom of middle schoolers who are active in several sports, and I'm asking you to support the TIF. When I spoke in front of the council in support of our Project for Vision funds, I urged them to get creative with funding. There simply wasn't enough vision funds to fund all the worthy projects. TIFs are a tool in your toolbox to leverage not only for economic development, but for quality of life projects. To me, the tool truly is a win-win for everyone. The city is able to complete infrastructure that likely won't happen for several years. Using this infrastructure, the development gets to see their business come to fruition, and the property tax increment helps to invest back into the community by providing quality of life amenities that not only enhance the lives of our citizens, but are leveraged for their economic development opportunities by bringing in out-of-towners who will turn around and spend their taxpayer dollars in our city. I urge you to support this. Within the TIF is the project plan. Personally, I feel the Sports Commission project is a no-brainer and will fill a much-needed gap within our community. It's long overdue. I'd love to spend a weekend in town rather than traveling several hours for games and competitions, let alone trying to secure an available gym or practice space for my kids to do their activities. Also within this project plan is the Rapid City Aquatics Community Project, which is earmarked for Phase 3, enclosing the outdoor 50-meter pool at Roosevelt Swim Center. Some might not realize it, but Rapid City is home to the state-of-art Olympic-sized swimming pool that is unfortunately used less than 100 days a year, especially in summers like this recent summer, which started off rather cool and was pretty rainy. When this pool was built in 2014 for $4.2 million, the design included several smart details that make this pool truly world-class. It's a shame that we cannot use it year-round. During the peak hours, from 4 to 8 p.m., the pool is at capacity, creating a safety risk due to overcrowding. Nearly 100 swimmers practice in this facility nightly, in addition to the kids trying to take swimming lessons. The wait list for swimming lessons continues to grow, and because we are simply out of space to accommodate such. The easiest solution is to enclose the outdoor pool. Not only would this project protect the initial investment into the pool, but would create much needed lane space. By enclosing the pool, we would be adding over 20 additional lanes. That's 2.5 times what is currently available. I just want to say one more thing, is a lot of people have approached me and said, how come this pool project isn't part of the Sports Commission plan? And to that, I would just say, we'd essentially be starting back at square one. We already have an amazing pool at Roosevelt. We're just asking to enclose it. Furthermore, the staffing resources are already at Roosevelt. The logistics just make sense to enclose it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Next up is D'Amico Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for all of your time. I know we've had an opportunity to speak to all of you either on the phone, in person, over the course of the last couple of years to get to this point. I'm here in favor of the Catalyst and Destination Districts. I also want to mention and acknowledge that TIFs are the moving target for school issues and property tax reform. They are important, yes, but they are separate issues from separate funding mechanisms. TIFs are really the only developer's tool to help assist development and growth in our community and throughout the state. Having traveled throughout the United States, seeing how other communities do it, STAR bonds, sales tax increment financing, those are all things that we can address at the state level, but as it stands right now, we cannot leverage those tools. TIFs are our only opportunity. The current project plan for the Catalyst District, yes, it is very large and it is very elaborate, if you will, but it does address several issues throughout the community, including 6th Street. For those that have traveled in that area, it is much like the 80s video game Frogger, trying to get across that street with the backup light from 5th Street. Also, it does, again, like Stacy mentioned, address the much-needed indoor pool space at the Roosevelt Swim Center. Again, the sports complex, the swim center, would absolutely extend the tourism season and enclose properties that will also be favorable for our athletes and young athletes in the community. Very much a quality of life issue. Liberland and the sports complex are sales tax drivers that do provide additional help for schools and the city's general fund. Again, the hotels have put their money forward with a second hotel bid. The Vision Fund, the $5 million that the city has already allocated, makes this a public-private partnership and really is an investment into our community. This complex will change the landscape of our community, and these two projects together, the phrasing that I've used consistently is synergy. The two projects being able to feed one another in the winter months drives additional revenue for the community. So please consider both projects. The one final piece is there's a lot of phases with the project plan. The one thing that we do know is phase one is ready. That is the one thing that we do know. The other pieces are ifs. Let's really focus on what we know right now and what is at hand, and then we can address those additional issues as the time comes. Thank you.
Thank you, D'Amico. And finally, Mr. Mark Millar.
How you doing? I'm here to talk about the TIFs myself. I feel sorry for Mr. Rodrigo and all the work they've done over there. I think that probably is a legitimate project. And then the city somewhere, maybe Aunt Lori there or whoever, started hanging all these albatrosses around its neck. Do you guys really think that we're going to build a 6th Street promenade from the park across Omaha to beside this building to access downtown, and people are going to walk back and forth across there, stumbling across the homeless and the drunk? People are afraid to come downtown and shop after dark right now already. But the problem is when you roll that TIF out, we talked about the sporting complex, the smallest thing on the whole project. Phase 2, apparently that's the data center, which apparently we've already got a data center in TIF number 86. So I don't know how many data centers we're putting in, Apparently, it's going to be like the battery factory and the meat packing plant. All a person has to do in this community to get the city's support is come in here and say, we're going to create jobs. Sunday afternoon, Walmart in North Rapid wasn't able to man their staff and they shut down. Apparently, we don't need a bunch more jobs. And we certainly don't need to take public money and create them. You guys have doubled the budget in 5 years. Sooner or later, the line will be drawn when you're going to have to answer the question, what in the hell are we going to do now? Because I pay $70 a month for 2 bags of garbage and 1,000 gallons of water. And Mr. Pettigrew, after reviewing the budget, says, we need to raise our service costs again. We just went through that 2 years ago. We've been going through it every year for 5 years. You guys are on a morgasm. You think you can't run out of money. Somebody from the planning committee the other day on TV said that what these TIFs do is borrow from the future. What they actually do is they take the money out of the hands of people like myself right now and give it to the richest people in this community. I'm sorry, I'm against your TIF, sir, with Liberty Land. I think it's a grand idea. I don't think it'll ever come to fruition and make you money. But you are turning prairie grassland into a bunch of lots for $600,000 homes. And we're going to increase the cost of the value of that property 1,800%. But this man needs public money to do that? You guys are, you're way out of line.
Thank you, Mark. That ends the public comment period, so we're going to go ahead and close that. Item 7, second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6685, an ordinance amending the Rapid City Municipal Code to prohibit the purchase, sale, or offering for sale of gas station heroin and related products by adding Chapter 8.54 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Motion to approve by Tamang, second by Pettigrew. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8, authorize mayor to sign documentation allowing the city to join the Purdue Direct Opioid Settlement. Motion by Seacrest to approve, second by Tamang. All those in favor? Aye. Item 9, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6690, an ordinance amending the Rapid City Municipal Code to create the Business Improvement District number 2. You abstaining? Councilwoman Meyer will be abstaining from this vote. Motion to approve by Seacrest, second by Pettigrew. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with one abstention. Item 10, resolution number 2025-092, a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the project plan for the Black Hills Industrial Center Tax Increment District number 86. And we're going to go to Councilwoman Seacrest.
Move to approve and ask to retain the floor. If I can get a second, please.
Motion by Seacrest, second by Meyer, and the floor is still yours, Lindsay.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to speak to this on the industrial center. This project was approved in 22 originally. This request is an amendment to the approved project plan that is a reallocation of the approved funds. So there's no additional dollar valuation to this request, and it doesn't change the use in any way. When we approved this industrial center, we didn't know what particular uses would be available, or at the time they had believed Acer Battery was coming in, and that didn't come to fruition. But this area is being developed with the intention of creating high-paying jobs and providing employment opportunities for our WDT graduates, our School of Mines graduates. I've been on site a couple of times in this particular project, and I feel comfortable in this change. We have some configurations to the stoplight, change of a street. So rather than a stoplight at Acer Boulevard, which I believe has been renamed in the project plan, but was previously known as Acer Boulevard, they're moving the stoplight up to the 79 Folsom Road, which will allow a stoplight for our access to the solid waste landfill division. And I, for one, travel out to the landfill on a regular basis, bringing yard clippings and extra items out there. And that area is particularly dangerous. So I'm happy to see that this stoplight will be in place and will be part of the TIF funds for this use. So the risk in this project also, outside of the city's support of the TIF, is falling back on the developer if this project doesn't come to fruition. The permitted zoning use in an industrial area does permit a data center, and the city would go through all the same plotting and zoning regulations for that permitted use. And if I'm speaking out of turn, Vicki, please correct me, but I don't know that, it would be within our purview up here to say, to determine what could and could not be placed there at this point. They do have a data center as part of the phase 1 in this plan, and I don't know that that's been different than what it was previously. So just to make note of that. So I'm in support of this project, and thank you.
Thank you. And the motion on the floor is to approve the item. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 11, resolution number 2025-098. A resolution creating Rapid City Destination Tax Increment Financing District. Motion to approve by Meyer. Second by Seacrest. And Councilwoman Meyer would like to retain the floor.
Okay. So I think a lot of my frustration with what's happening right now is the misinformation that is out there, and I think people like to frame things to fear people, and there's this idea that eventually this project is diverting your taxes, like these people are taking your future tax dollars. Well, those tax dollars do not exist if this project does not happen. Nothing from nothing is nothing. So those tax dollars will be diverted to pay back the project, or it just continues to underperform. Well, and then eventually we could develop this, and then we could get a massive increase to all of our taxing entities while collecting sales tax during that time, or we can continue on the trajectory we're on. Secondly, I think there's this idea that we could go to a vote and then the people could decide, and I think we all know that voter turnout is low. I don't think that is a great sign of democracy. I think we can say, oh man, we voted and the people decided, and when you have 2% voter turnout and you say, well, the people decided, 2% voter turnout, doesn't matter, the people decided, went to a vote. We know voter turnout is low. I would love to see this project go if we could have 80% voter turnout. How great would that be? And the people decide, whatever the people decide we can live with, but when you're having a 2% turnout or whatever it is, I don't think that's an acceptable representation of the population. I also think that it's really frustrating. I hear a lot from people who are not in my age demographic. A lot of people who are retired have the time to come and do these things. People my age are not able to come and speak to this. And it's really, I get really passionate about this because I'm so mad that people they're trying to impact what's going to impact me a lot longer and people my age, and I go out and I talk to people in person because I put zero stock in what happens on social media, and people are fine with it. And so when someone comes to me and says, and nobody wants this, and everything I've heard, I'm like, everyone you have talked to probably thinks that, because we only speak to people who as a society right now, we are only seeking information that confirms our own biases. And I don't think that's a true representation of what's happening, so I don't support that argument. And I think I'll just comment that I would love to have open discussion. It is not going to happen on social media. And so my email address is callie.meyer@rc.gov. If anyone is interested in hearing some thoughts that might contradict what you've heard, I'd love to have a discussion. I'd love to have discourse. I think this is complicated. I think this is a project that is great. And so I will be in favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Pettigrew?
I voted against this the first time, and I'll vote against it this time. I did offer an apology to Joel. The city messed this up with the filing. I don't blame the person who did that. I just think this was rushed through. I think city leadership, before they publish this, should double check things, and this wouldn't have happened. And it's put a lot of stress and a lot of burden on the developer. that's recreated, stirred the pot even more. And I think if this would have not happened, it wouldn't have been an issue. And I'm kind of addressing 11 and 12 here. So I do feel bad about that, I really do. But I cannot support this project. I think there's been an extremely lack of transparency. There were all sorts of things that are supposed to happen when you bring these TIFs forward that the developer hasn't met. I've spent a lot of hours doing math, and I think they've valued what the project's going to be worth. And I just think this is something that should have had a public forum and gotten everybody's input, Rapid City's input. And to Kelly's point, yeah, people are confused. They don't understand TIFs. And when they don't understand TIFs, they put the brake on and say this isn't for us. I don't have any friends, okay? So I don't talk to anybody. But everything I've gotten is against this. And maybe they just know I'm against it, so they're supporting my brain. I don't know. But I haven't talked to any individuals who believe this would be a benefit or is a good project for the city to get involved in. Thank you.
And Councilwoman Seacrest.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to keep this brief. I'm in support of 11 and 12. I was in support of this project initially. I've done an extensive amount of time and effort into understanding this project and looking at this from all angles. I wasn't a yes vote initially. I did have my hesitations as well, and in looking into this project, the intention, the excitement behind this, and just to think that we have a local business representative here and outside investors contributing into this project and investing in Rapid City and our future. And we're taking a few land parcels worth $300,000 right now that's delivering very, very minimal tax return for the use, and gonna create this economic driving area that could potentially see a $585 million future valuation at the term of this project plan. The benefits for the entertainment, the housing components, I know people are really focused on this being an amusement park, but it's just so much more than that. There's a lot of misunderstanding in the TIF process, and we're basically taking an undeveloped land parcel that would have nothing. As Councilwoman Meyer indicated, nothing delivers nothing. And so we're investing in the North Rapid City community. We're, as a city, putting in much needed infrastructure that we wouldn't otherwise be able to fund. And so without this TIF, there's no way that this project would move forward. I'm in no way endorsing every TIF that comes through. There's a lot of information here. It's complex. Please reach out if you want to discuss how I got to a yes vote. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Seacrest. And Councilman Tomei?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to echo what Councilman Pettigrew said at the beginning. We made a mistake with the application, and we'll try to do better from that. And it feels to me that I'm not changing my position on it, but I feel like the applicant, went through, it's a tough process, and you went through it with grace, and you and the Lean family handled things well. And we just want to, formally say we appreciate you, and we're sorry that happened. Thank you.
Thank you. And the motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor? And opposed?
Aye.
With 2 noes, Tamang and Pettigrew as noes, the chair is voting aye. Item 12, resolution number 2025-099, a resolution approving the project plan for the Rapid City Destination District. Motion to approve by Meyer, second by Seacrest. All those in favor of the motion? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Tamang and Pettigrew as noes, the chair is voting aye. Resolution number 2025-100, a resolution creating Rapid City Catalyst District Tax Increment Financing District. Councilman Pettigrew?
I supported in favor of this the first time. I know when Black Hills Energy gets that plant down and puts the switch on, it's going to make money. And I was in support of the complex. I understand that's sports tourism, and there's a lot of money in that. I have employees who are involved, and it's a good deal, and I think we should do it. But I can't support it this time. Again, city staff should have just run it through as the original deal, $55 million. There would have still been people opposed, but by making it 2.5 times greater, $123 million, really? That's the wrong time to do that. They should have run it through as $55 million and it would have passed. But now, again, you've stirred the pot, and when at planning and zoning, when the presentation was made, I looked at that. We get everything last minute. There was a spot up there for the school district. We were going to, I guess, give them land, maybe help them build a school. And at that meeting, we were told, oh, that's changed. Now we're not going to do that. Everything changes. We got 2 emails the last couple of days, one from the finance office, one from the mayor. All these options. They don't know what they're doing. I'm being honest with you. Things are changing too fast, too quickly, and we're supposed to be informed. I just can't support this. And to Mr. Millar's comments, yeah, Mark, you and I have been at odds, but I agree with your comments. I really do. They're putting a rope around our neck to do this. They should have just run it through as $55 million, and as time marched on, add the other 2 districts. So because of that, I can't support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Councilwoman Seacrest?
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to move to approve Phase 1 and Phase 2 of this project plan and ask to retain the floor if I can get a second.
Motion by Seacrest, second by Meyer, and the floor is still yours.
So this project plan has been, a bit chaotic, and I believe that the city's done an excellent job of communicating the reason behind that chaos in the information and the way it was presented. Originally, there was an approval for the boundary, and the project plan was then put on a rush because in order for the city to create a boundary per the state's direction, we had to have a project plan submitted. And so I believe that what happened was our city really tried to make a lot of things happen in this Phase 3 of this project. We're taking a lot of wishes and a lot of amazing projects and things that I personally want to see happen, and trying to make this happen all at the same time. And I just think it's too big. There's too much in the Phase 3 that is too conceptual, and I think that we really need to get back to the focus here of the sports facility and the sports complex, and that effort in itself has been tremendous. We've had years of effort to bring this project to where we're at today, and so I just don't want to lose sight of that because we've gotten to where we want to include all these other amazing projects. I know the boundary itself, I would be in support of reducing that boundary. I think the boundary has been created for the potential of the future, maybe amendment to this district if some amazing things fell into place with not only Black Hills Energy's development, but also some anticipated development that could happen as a result of that with the data center. And again, I'm no data center expert, and the permitted zoning use, I believe, is industrial in that area as well, and that could be a potential use in the future and would recapture that. But the Catalyst District, the sports complex, the sales tax revenue that we'll be able to generate, the off-season sales tax revenue generation, and just giving families the opportunity to participate in sports locally, I think is just an absolutely amazing feature that I should say too, the sports facility organizers have done a great job of communicating this project, and we really appreciate that. We really feel like we understand the thought process behind this, and we've also been provided the opportunity for input, which I really appreciate. I'm very passionate about providing an indoor walking space for seniors or people with disabilities throughout the week when this facility is not being used. That this is truly a community center. We've created a beautiful public-private partnership in this, and I'm just very proud of the effort that's gone in from our community to make this happen. So I will be supporting this project. I do agree with reining it in and perhaps looking at the bigger vision items at another time. So thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Councilwoman Meyer?
Just a comment that I think there's been some dialogue that this has something sinister at play, and now they're trying to hide something. And in my short time on council, I have not met a single person who wakes up in the morning and is trying to figure out, wow, how do I sink the city today? How do I do something bad? I think we're all trying to do the right thing. Nobody agrees on what they think the right thing is, but I don't think anyone has any malicious intent. With that, I'd like to direct a question to Director Fisher. My concern with, we're currently we're not at the plan yet, but I think there's some thought that this gets approved and a data center could just go up tomorrow without any sort of regulations or conversation, or that they just get to do whatever they want as soon as this goes through. So I'm wondering if you might be able to add some context and clarity to that. Thank you.
Director Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's an excellent question. Whether it be within this TIF district or the Black Hills Industrial Center district, it would have to be on property that's zoned industrial. They would have to bring in a feasibility study to show that there is sufficient water and electricity. Then they would have to bring in a stamped surveyed site plan. And just like a garage, which is a permitted use, we don't bring all those forward to public hearings. It's only if they don't meet the land area regulations that they come before the public. If a data center didn't meet those land area regulations, it would go before a public hearing. So no, we have not seen anything for any of these two locations, and it's at this time not specifically identified in this TIF or the Black Hills Industrial TIF.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Councilman Tamang, you were in there, did I? I'm good. Okay. Motion on the floor is to approve item 13. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Aye. And one no from Pettigrew. Item 14, resolution number 2025-101, a resolution approving the project plan for the Rapid City Catalyst District. Correct. Councilwoman Seacrest.
I would like to move to approve Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the project plan.
Second.
Motion on the floor is to approve Phase 1 and Phase 2, seconded by Meyer. Councilman Tamang?
I just had a clarifying question to the finance director on this. First of all, I really appreciate the information that got sent out. There was a ton of stuff happening, and I think the council and the mayor and the city finance did a really Herculean effort to try to address the concerns and bring things together. And they laid out a number of plans, and I believe that we are going with the so-called option B here from the plans that came out from the mayor's office, which is Phase 1 and 2. And I just want to make sure I'm understanding that appropriate from the emails you sent out, that is indeed what I'm voting on here.
Finance Director Ainsley?
I'm pulling it up one second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I could ask the motion maker just to clarify, what I would understand is that Phase 1 would include the $15 million to assist in the construction of the field house, and then roughly $7.5 million for 143rd Street as well as Seeger Drive, and then $1 million for the intersection of 143rd and East Mall Drive, and $1 million for the intersection of 143rd and Seeger Drive. That's a total cost of $24.58 million. And then Phase 2 would be $9 million for utility extensions that would be extended into the North Deadwood Avenue area generally. Okay.
Perfect. That clarifies my question. Thank you.
Thank you. And the motion on the floor is to approve Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the project plan. All those in favor of the motion? Any opposed? And one no from Pettigrew. Resolution number 2025-106, a resolution of intent to take the statutorily authorized increase in property tax revenue as part of the annual appropriation ordinance for 2026. Motion to approve by Tamang, second by Pettigrew. All those in favor? Any opposed? And the chair is voting no on this item. Second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6686, an ordinance regarding fiscal year 2026 appropriation. Motion to approve by Tamang. Councilwoman Seacrest, your question?
Thank you, Chair. So this item, we have another budget hearing set for September 5th. Is this necessary to move this forward, or should we just move forward without recommendation?
I believe we're doing a second budget hearing with the intent to actually make some changes to the budget. Is that correct, Council President?
Correct.
And so
So the
that's why I
second reading
asked.
would become moot, so I think a motion to table this item would be appropriate.
Move to table. Okay, substitute motion to move to send forward without recommendation.
Motion to move the item to council without recommendation. Second by Meyer. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Motion to adjourn by Meyer, second by Tamang. All those in favor? And we're adjourned. Thank you.